Welcome to Healthy Frontiers. My name is Dr. Bizzoni. I'm a chiropractor, and this show is dedicated to the education of our viewers. The topic for tonight is making Pilates part of your health program. My special guest is Ceres Opanowski, or Cece, as her clients so lovingly know her. So I'm going to read a little bit about Ceres. So Ceres is a native of New York who specializes in improving strength and in transforming physique. Ceres and a dedicated team also concentrate on posture and the correction of negative movement patterns and imbalances by focusing on the core principles of Pilates. She tailors her classes and lessons to the individual. Ceres also holds advanced certifications in pre- and postnatal Pilates, standing Pilates, breast cancer pre- and post-op recovery, and Pilates for golf. After moving to Los Angeles in 2005, Cece found her passion in holistic body movement through a search for relief from the pain associated with her own juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, a condition that can leave joints and muscles very achy and stiff, resulting in a loss of mobility. She then returned to New York and founded and is now the founder and owner of Rivertown Pilates in Tarrytown, New York. So I'd like to welcome Cece to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for being here, Cece. Cece, let's get right into it, okay?
Sure.
So why don't we speak about Pilates and what is Pilates in layman's terms?
Well, it started many, many years ago, around World War II, with a man named Joseph Pilates. And he was a POW in a war camp. And he suffered as a child from a disease called rickets. And he started as a child to develop these movements using basically his own body and gravity as tension and resistance. And it helped him significantly. And as he was a POW and an injured POW, he was helping to rehabilitate himself as well as other wounded soldiers.
Right, right.
With that came the advent of the Pilates machines, and he would use the springs from the hospital beds, and the machines actually still mimic the old hospital-style beds from that era. So he would take those springs and attach them in different ways and use pulleys and other systems to help a soldier or whoever who, say, lost their arm or was wounded on one side of the body, that would have an imbalance, so he could live a normal life.
Right.
And so their Pilates began.
Yes.
He and his wife Clara came over, and they lived in New York City for quite a while.
Okay.
And he became known as the man to go to rehabilitate injured dancers. And for a while, he worked on stuff for Martha Graham, many other choreographers throughout that time, and really helping save the careers of dancers, that were injured. New York City Ballet, all types of. And I think we all know that a dancer's career is very short-lived, unfortunately.
Yes.
But to put it in terms of the understanding of movement, Pilates is a series of very controlled movements using specific core muscle groups.
Right.
Basically, there are 4 sets of core muscles. First and foremost that we know, right, are your abdominals.
Sure.
And then from there, you think about the inner thighs. You stay really close to the body. The outer thigh, the glute minimus medius, side butt, basically.
Yes.
And your core back muscles, the muscles that you use for posture. And you use those in sync to really create a movement that is specialized and that helps you move with greater finesse and ease. And instead of building a bulky muscle, you're building a longer, leaner muscle, which is just as strong, just different in appearance. You know? And it became known for a very long time as just a women's exercise.
Sure.
And later on, as time went on, men started to see the benefits. Athletes, basketball players, baseball players, and many other types of
Sure.
And it's there's a lot of breathing and controlled breathing. You're really trying to say everybody has a dominant side. Somebody's left-handed, they're right-handed, and you want to really try to create harmony between the two sides of the body, just like Joseph Pilates did if somebody was injured. So people come to me, perfectly healthy people come to me all the time. But people also come to me with injuries, shoulder injuries, knees, hips. I myself had to have a hip replacement last year.
Okay.
And, due to the arthritis.
Right.
But, it helps, and I can testify that it definitely significantly helped me improve at a faster rate because I was more understanding and aware of my body.
Yeah, very important.
Yeah.
Right. So what made you choose Pilates as a career path?
Interesting, yes. Actually, I chose law at first,
Okay.
and I practiced, in that field for quite some time. And when I moved to Los Angeles in 2005, I needed another form of exercise, and I took a look around too at the environment and the different culture, which it's significantly different from New York. And I myself started taking Pilates about 3 times a week, one-on-one with a personal trainer, and she was just brilliant. She was a dancer, and it really helped save her career. And when her career was over, she chose this as a path. And for me, it truly clicked. As a child, I was diagnosed with JRA at 12, so I've had it for this year, though I'm going to date myself right now, 29 years.
Wow. Okay.
Right. So after a very short period of time, I would say maybe 10 to 15 lessons, I saw quite an increase in my strength and my flexibility, my joint mobility, and the way my body just appeared in general, which I was, thrilled with.
Sure.
And I looked at her one day and I said, "How do you think I could go about doing this?"
Right.
And she said, "Oh no, you don't want to do this. You're on your own career path." And I think she felt bad about that. So the next time I had come in, she gave me a bunch of information and she said, "You're in luck. One of the best schools is having their certification program here in LA in Beverly Hills, and it's in 2 weeks from now." So
right in time.
It was perfect. It all really synced up quite well.
Yeah.
And I went online, I took a look at everything, and it was non-refundable.
Right.
And I paid with my credit card.
Sure.
And I thought, well, here we go. And it was actually the best adventure and the best decision I've ever made.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. So law's in the past for now, and
It
Pilates is in the
It
front.
absolutely is. Just
Love it.
looking forward.
So how long have you been practicing and teaching Pilates?
Oh, let's see. I've been practicing for almost close to 14 years.
Okay.
And I've been teaching just a little over 10.
Great.
Yeah,
Right.
and the
A lot of
studios.
experience.
It is.
Yeah.
It goes by very quickly. I wouldn't have imagined that.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it
Yeah.
just flies.
It really, truly does.
Well, many great things in the future as well.
Thank you.
So what does Pilates mean to you?
It's really my way of life,
Mm-hmm.
and it's changed my life significantly. I can attest to the benefits on an enormous amount.
Right.
It's just to have that type of body awareness, to be aware of how to move your body.
Yes.
When there are mornings I wake up and I feel awful. And I still have to get through the day, and I still have to go to work and do the regular things that everyone does in life.
Yeah.
Just like everybody does. Everybody has some type of ailment. There's a back problem, a knee problem, a shoulder issue, or
Yeah.
just from doing regular things,
Right.
playing
Sure.
baseball for 12 years or 20 years.
Right, sure.
And you want to, be able to understand how to move so you're not further exacerbating and making worse,
Right.
whatever condition that you have.
Yeah, which I see so often. Patients will come to me and they try to self-help themselves, which is fine.
Right.
They try for a while, but then if the pain is consistently not going away or getting worse, and obviously the exercise may be exacerbating the problems, right?
Exactly.
And the same with you. They're trying their own exercise programs and, well, CC, help me, So-
Or they're doing the latest fad workout,
Yeah.
whatever that may be.
True, even more so.
Exactly. And then, they come to me and
Yeah.
they look for me to fix them, and that's exactly what we look to do.
And it comes with and we can talk about this later maybe, but a little diagnosis and, knowing what their problems are and not just jumping in there, oh, this is, boilerplate for everybody.
No,
Right?
it's very specific and tailored to the individual.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that a little bit, yeah. Okay, good. So, I think you've done this, but why don't you explain the influence Pilates had on your life?
Well, just like, the previous question, I think, listen, we get one of the most finely tuned machines in the world, and we get to live in it for however long that is, right? And I kind of feel that some people tend to treat their cars and their gadgets and things like that even better than they treat their body.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your car won't run if you don't change the oil.
Right.
You don't change the tires if you don't pay attention to what that, what's wrong with that machine.
Right.
And your body operates the same way, but on a higher level. So if you're not taking care of it, how is it going to take care of you?
Right.
You can't expect that. And to understand that, just not for myself as a teacher, but to help other people create awareness in their own body and have a real mind-body connection, which is big. You know,
Right.
you can't come into the studio to work out and think, what do I need at the grocery store later?
Right.
You have
Right.
to physically and mentally be present.
Which I find too, just as an aside, patients will get hurt most times when they're not thinking of what they're doing.
Absolutely.
They'll go and lift something and they're talking to their buddy or they're talking to their spouse or whatever, and all of a sudden they can't move with their back, right? So it's always PTC
Absolutely.
or
Or
present time conscious.
They'll bend down to tie their shoes and throw out their back.
Right,
It's
right.
real life.
So it's concentration.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So there are varying, and as there are varying and vast schools that train Pilates, how do you go about choosing a reputable program?
Well, there is a non-for-profit organization that kind of governs Pilates, and they're called the Pilates Method Alliance. And I would say for any student, that
Yes.
looking to get into Pilates,
Right.
You would start there. And for anyone looking for it to be their career, I would also start there.
Yeah.
There are very select schools that have been around since the beginning. There were a few disciples of Joseph Pilates, and they broke off and started their own schools with his method.
Right.
And that is what we call classical Pilates. I'm a classically trained instructor.
I understand.
But there are some die-hard, where they really will only train classical.
Right.
And there's a difference. There's been a more modernized version of Pilates also, which they call contemporary or modern.
Right.
And you use more props that way, and you incorporate some conventional, other movements that are more conventional that we're used to.
Right.
Sit-ups, crunches, things like that. We just, we do them in a very controlled environment that's not harmful for the body.
Sure. Sure.
But you really want to take a look at the original schools, and on both ends, whether you're looking for a studio to practice at or you're looking, for somewhere to be certified through.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Right.
you want to look at how long they've been around.
Yeah.
Because there are new ideas and new schools of thought coming up, and it doesn't make them wrong, but the intention is different. And this method is a proven method that has worked for decades upon
Right.
decades.
Right.
And I would say that you want to stay as close to that as possible. Even if you are interested in a more contemporary Pilates, you start there first, because building the foundation you can't build a building without
No.
and it's the same idea.
Great analogy. I feel the same in chiropractic. I have to
Absolutely.
say, chiropractic was based on subluxation, which is a movement of a bone out of position, and if you can adjust it back into position, great. That's what chiropractic was founded on. So that's the basis, but so many other things have evolved.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure in your field as well.
Exactly. It's the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. So does the choice of school or programs have an effect on teaching and styles of teaching?
Yes, and going back to that same
Yeah.
that same idea, the classical method is really the same exercises all the time. It's the same exact ones over and over. So it gets
Right.
to be, a little redundant after a while. And some people really love that. That's what they want,
Right.
and you can't get them to go
Change.
to it. No,
Yeah, I know.
It's in their soul.
Yeah.
But then there's the more modern approach. Now, through my training, though I was trained classically, the studio that I trained at in LA, she realized that the way to, if you were going to build a business, you really can't stay doing the same old thing. You have to have some room for change.
Yes.
And so we were both, though we were classically trained, she threw in some modern elements. And in my studio, I take both classical and contemporary, and I merge them. And that's how I run my studio.
Perfect, perfect. So Okay, so how do you manage different levels of ability and strengths within a group class setting? So you're going to get people joining. I know you do one-on-one when it's necessary,
Exactly.
but you do also do group classes. So how do
Right.
you meld that in if somebody is a beginner and somebody's been advanced?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, generally any studio, before throwing you into a group class setting, will want you to take some one-on-ones so we can build that foundation that we were talking about.
Okay.
And give you some type of body awareness and show you what the intention of the movement is. You want to move with intent. What is the intention of this exercise?
Right.
You know, what are we going to get out of it? So, you know, generally I have people come in and we do free 30-minute trials.
Right.
And it gives them a slight introduction to what they're really going to get themselves into
Right.
and see if it works for them.
Sure.
And, you know, it's one-on-one, obviously, it's much easier,
Sure.
you know, to manage anybody's body. But when you get to a group class setting, you know, you're one of 6. And you
Yes.
really should try to stay as small as possible
Right.
in a boutique setting. The larger the group, the less eyes are on you.
Yes.
And you want the eyes on you,
Right.
even though you may feel self-conscious at first.
Right.
You want those corrections.
Right.
And if somebody's not correcting you, you shouldn't go to that studio
Right. Right.
because it's harmful.
Yeah.
It's all about how precise the movement is and,
Yeah.
and how it's executed. And every correction, even minimal,
Right.
is huge in the long run for the success of the student.
And I could attest to that. We share some patient clients, and I have to say, I mean, you're so professional at what you do, and it's actually helped me sometimes in my evaluation of the patient and correction of the patient when you see certain things. And there are certain things that I'll tell a patient, you know what, maybe you need to work on this muscle. And the
You and
give
I
and
work
take
back
with
and
the
forth.
professional at that level is so beneficial to the client and to the
Absolutely.
patient. That and I can just attest to that. That you know, your studio has been so professional in that, and
Thank you.
has helped me with several of my patients. So,
I'm happy to hear
yeah.
that.
And-
We really do strive for that.
Yeah.
I teach the body that's in front of me. So whether you're one of 6, I can't put you all on the same spring tension. I can't give you all the same exercise every single time.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's someone who's more advanced, and I have to say to myself, well, that person needs a variation that makes the exercise a little more challenging.
Yeah.
And then there's some person that's a little weaker, and I have to say, well, what would be the modification to make this a little easier for them so they're still getting the benefit of the exercise and they're not feeling lost in a class,
Yeah.
and they're not feeling defeated. You know, it's really hard for people who walk in sometimes who have never moved before,
Right. Right.
and this is their first form of exercise.
Yeah.
And you want them to feel comfortable, and you know, not only so they come back, but so they, you know, they move on to be healthier humans living in this machine.
Yeah. So you can't replace it.
No.
You can replace a carburetor, but we can't replace a spine. We can't
true.
replace a muscle.
No.
Very readily. So.
Agreed.
Okay. So what are some of the highs and lows of your career thus far, Cece?
Oh, you know, the studio has been a great success, and word of mouth is mighty and vast. So in that, and it was not without a lot of blood, sweat, and tears.
I'm
and
sure.
Putting those machines together myself on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, I understand.
You know, to make it and to really put it on the map and make it where it is today.
Yeah.
You know, I think as far as the lows are concerned,
Yes.
I can't say there haven't been any, but the revolving door of students who come in and leave, you know, you can't make someone want more for themselves.
Correct.
You know, they have to want it.
Yeah.
And so, you know, people come and they go, and, you know, you can't take those things personally, and you have to, you know, kind of
Right.
put a thick skin on. But I can't say that there's, you know, the highs, that or the, you know, the success of it is really great. And
Yeah.
to be able to work with people is amazing, and,
Yeah.
and to help them.
Yeah, for sure. So how long, just as an aside, what's an average class time, or maybe, and then maybe how long would a person really have to be taking the classes to kind of realize the benefits? And I understand, and I'm sure the audience understands, you know,
Sure.
it's always good to maintain what you've learned. So to get to that point, what's just an average? I know everybody's different. but,
Absolutely. Well, an average class time is between 50 minutes and an hour, depending on the person's stamina. Because after a while, you know, you're gonna become fatigued.
right.
But, you know, can you just repeat that question one more time?
Yeah, it's just how long, weeks, months.
Before they see the benefits,
Yeah,
I
before they
understand.
see and realize benefits.
Well, in general, the rule of thumb is in 10 sessions, you feel the difference. In
Okay.
20, you really start to see it.
Mm-hmm.
And in 30, you're pretty much on your way to being close to your goal.
Perfect.
But it does depend on the amount of time. You can't come anywhere, go anywhere one time a week and expect that you're actually going to
Understand.
see the
Right.
benefits.
Yeah.
That's with any exercise program.
Yeah.
You know, I recommend them coming twice a week.
Right.
I have women that come 5 or 6 times a week.
Yes. Okay.
But I would say anywhere from 2 to 3 times a week, you know, consistently.
Yes.
And you'll see the benefits within 10 sessions.
Perfect. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. So I know you work closely with professionals. I know
Yes.
you work with me at times in the healthcare system. All right. So how does that benefit the clients? You know.
Sure. Well, when they come in, say they come in with a certain injury, you know, I take a look at their body and I try to assess where I see the imbalances.
Right.
And then I say to them, well, you know, did you break your shoulder when you were 12? Where did this come from? Because I'm seeing, you know, this with your ankle, or I'm seeing this rotation with your hip. And how did that come about?
Right.
And when they tell me, you know, we discuss it, and I generally try to ask for, you know, any scans or reports that come from there, so I can further assist them in their goal and, you know, putting their body back in harmony and making both sides of the body speak to each other,
Yeah.
you know, at the same time.
Right. So it helps the doctor. It helps the patient. It
Very
helps the
much
client.
so.
It's just a good circle of positive.
Absolutely. And you want
benefit.
that type of circle,
Yeah.
you know, where people are on your side, you know, working for a greater benefit.
Look, and I know it helps with pain control and other great things,
Absolutely.
you know, without having to take a lot of medication or any medication.
Very
I
true.
mean, you know, that's always a good first approach. And then you could always go on to other things if you need it.
Absolutely.
Right? And not to say
Absolutely.
you never need it, but it's just a good first start. So, okay. Another question about age groups. Can any age group partake in Pilates, or is there a cutoff time? I mean, can adolescents, you know, seniors,
Sure.
over 65, you know?
Absolutely. All of
Yeah.
the above. Generally, children as young as, you know, 6 or 7 can start with mat Pilates. Before you put them on a machine, though, you want to make sure they're of a certain height and they have a certain attention level. And
Right.
I've worked for many of the private schools in the area, teaching mat Pilates to the children.
Great.
And it's been exceptionally rewarding and enlightening as well.
Yeah.
But I would say anyone can really do Pilates, and that really is true.
Yeah.
Any exercise can be modified,
Yeah.
you know, to fit and really tailor to that individual person. And I have some students as old as 86.
Yeah, there you go. And I'm sure at
Yeah.
that point, you know, you've done your diagnostic work, or the person has come in with a history from their doctor.
Exactly.
And if they have like osteoporosis or so,
Yes.
you know to be careful and just approach that patient or client as necessary.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So, is there anybody who should not take Pilates? I know you said it's open for almost anybody, but
Well, to be honest with you, no.
yeah.
It can really be tailored to fit the individual person, and that's the beauty of it. You can't say that for a lot of exercise programs.
For sure.
Even the gym, you know, there are certain people who can't even go to the gym. There are certain things that are contraindicated that they shouldn't be doing
Yeah.
for their body. But with Pilates and having the information, the background information,
Yes.
and sitting down and talking with them, you get a better understanding of how to train them, and that's huge for their success.
Great. Great. So finally,
Yeah.
why don't you just tell us what your future looks like in the Pilates world?
Oh, well, there's definitely another studio on the horizon. There was never just one, and I've been looking at a few spaces here and there.
Right.
But as far as me personally, you know, I've been blessed to see many of my friends, you know, get married and have children and go through pregnancy.
Yes.
And it's really beneficial for a mother to, with all the changes that are going on with their body, to be more aware and learn how to use their body with what's going on in that situation.
Sure.
And, you know, taking Pilates while you're pregnant helps significantly in your recovery.
Right.
You know, just not just getting your body back, but it takes 2 years for a woman to fully recover from a pregnancy.
Right.
And some, you know, sometimes they do it multiple times.
Yes.
And I have taken a look around in Westchester, and there's a lot of mommy and me, this and that, which is absolutely wonderful.
Yes.
But what about just for the mother when she's pregnant?
Yeah.
So I would really like to use some of those advanced certifications and focus and shift a little bit, you know, into this pre and postnatal,
Right.
helping, you know,
Right.
women of all ages,
Yeah.
you know, even older. You know, we're having babies older now,
Sure. Sure.
and you want to you want to make sure that you're fit.
You need the
for
Pilates even more.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
For sure.
You know, and I also wanted to really think about getting into more of the sector with arthritis and MS, and
Yeah.
really trying to make people more aware of how much
Benefit there is out there, right?
it's
Just-
really amazing. And
Yeah.
just coming a few times, you can see how wonderful it is and how beneficial it is to your body, your joints, to support the muscles, support the joint.
Sure.
And you want to make sure that they're nice and strong, because unfortunately, arthritis is a degenerative disease.
Yeah.
And same thing with MS.
You know it firsthand.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately. But you've maintained it. You look great, and
Thank you.
there you go. So I'm sure all your clients are getting the best of the best, and I want to thank you for being on the show tonight.
Thank you so much. Thank you
so
for
much.
having me.
Thank you for being here. And we certainly look forward to seeing you on our next show. Thank you for being so attentive.